All right, so I want to jump right in. I want to talk about yield versus growth today. Which matters more for your retirement? Here's what it comes down to. Have you ever had to choose between a stock that pays you a 7% dividend, which is strong, that's good, or one that's going to pay you about 4%, but that 4% yield is going to grow every single year? Which one's going to be better for you in the long term? This is a question that most people probably don't even want to answer, because, or even be posed with it, because it's like, well, I want 7%.
Sure.
How would 4% ever be better than 7?
Yep.
Seems like a stupid question.
Or when it gets better, then I'll switch to that one.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Yes.
That's probably how everybody wants to respond. But how long would it take? And how do you know if it's going to grow? You know, because that's where everybody's going to come back to. Well, I just need the 7%. Well, yeah, don't we all?
I just want the 7%.
But which one's actually going to be better long term?
Right.
You know, and we're gonna dig into that.
Yep.
And I think the biggest issue is the reality that we want it our way now, like the fast food slogans, right?
We are not
now.
We are a microwave generation.
Yes.
Microwave.
The patient investor does not really.
How fast can I get it right now?
Yes.
Nobody wants to turn the stove on. Nobody's gonna open that microwave as fast as I can get it. You know, I'm hungry right now.
One of my favorite people that I follow on X, his thing is everyone's a long-term investor until the market drops 20%.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, oh, never mind. I'm not long-term anymore. Panic, sell.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, so let's define these really quick. So you've got yield, and yield is pretty much, basically, it's cash flow right now.
Yeah.
It's what can it get me right now, right? Growth is what? What's the difference between growth? Growth's preparing for tomorrow.
Correct.
Right.
It's I got a smaller yield and I'm going to grow that yield. So it's not growth in the sense of I'm going to buy a stock that doesn't pay a dividend. We're talking about yield, a steady yield that isn't growing in the context of today's show. And we're going to talk about a smaller yield, and we're calling that growth, that's going to grow every single year. So you have one at 7 for today's show that's just at a 0% growth, or might trickle up a little bit here or there, but it's going to be steady. And you have one at 4, and it's going to be growing every single year at about 8%, okay? Which isn't astronomical.
No.
You know, we've seen stocks grow their dividends 15%, 25% in a year. It's not abnormal. Typically, those happen on the really tiny ones.
Yes.
You know, and the big ones, they're like, yeah, we'll squeak out a 2% yield
That's right. Yeah.
increase this year.
We're already paying you pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about the case for yield. Why is the case for yield so attractive to investors?
That whole now thing. It's the whole microwave thing you just talked about. But they might be living on it. They may need that income right now.
Yeah, especially if you're in retirement.
Right, if you're already there.
If you're there or knocking on the door, you're within a year or two, you're like, I need as much income as I can possibly get right now.
You know what's interesting about that is, you know, our client base, they're all dividend investors. And I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but before they came to us, they were not dividend investors. They were like, hey, I just need this amount of income. Now they're like, you know, we've had clients doing this for decades, right? And they're just like, I need yield. You know, like, I want more yield. We rebalance the portfolio. And they're like, what's my yield? Like, how much am I going to make? You know, and the conversations are so much deeper, which is so good. And I feel like the reality is, how much income can I get right now? And sometimes I feel like I've done a poor job having conversations with my clients about this particular topic. And I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself, but I don't want to. There has to be a balance. You need stuff today and you need to prepare for tomorrow. And, you know, this case for yield is uno number one. Like, it's like, I need my income. Yeah, we'll talk about growth.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, we need that. And I'm not talking about growth of value. I'm talking about growth of income. You need both. But the case specifically for yield is that I need it right now.
It's a present.
Inflation, you know.
Yeah. That's the B side. Number one, A is income now.
Yeah. And it really, it's
tangible results too. Like you actually see it showing up. So I think that's massive for folks. And then it's the whole cash is king. Everybody wants cash flow. You know, they can't, it's so hard to see ahead, but it's like, no, I see it right now. It's showing up in my account right now. Give me more of that.
Yeah. And the reality of, like, I've got bills. So the bills take precedent over everything else, and you're like, I want money, I need money. What's my yield today? That's the most pressing thing in my life. And they know in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, but I want more income next year too.
Right.
But I need as much income as I can get at this very moment right now.
Yeah, it's funny. It just hit me right now. It's like whenever I used to be in kind of the corporate setting, and you were starting to like negotiate and jump to different companies to negotiate your new salary, you never once asked, yeah, but what's my pay increase each year?
Right.
It was like, how much are you going to pay me right now?
Right.
And you were negotiating so hard for like, what's this next year going to be, and what am I going to start at? But we never once.
So what are my raise percentages every year?
Yeah.
Right.
What's that old
That's a really good
adage?
point.
A bird in the hand,
Two in the
Two in
bush.
the tree. Yeah.
in the tree.
What?
Bush, the tree, whatever. What's the difference?
Jersey.
Yeah. Apparently up in Jersey, it's trees. Down in the rest of the world, it's the bush.
Sorry, what's the difference?
Idioms.
I don't even know what a bird in a bush even means. Trees makes actually
Yeah,
makes
you
more
see
sense.
the trees. That's where they hang out in my yard.
But there's a big pitfall when it comes to yield. And that is, the higher the yield, the more risk. Because if something goes wrong, the company is going to go, hey, we can cut that back. Might not lose a lot of our investors, because if we go from 7 to 5 or 7 to 6 or 7 to 3, maybe they'll hold on. We've seen that happen.
Right.
Go from 11 to
yeah.
5.5.
So, and that's a reality. And 5.5 is actually strong. 11's insane.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and the higher that yield creeps up, the more susceptible that dividend becomes to being cut. Okay. Let's flip it and talk about the case for growth. What do we got here? What's the case for growth?
Well, the number one thing in keeping up with inflation, which has become even more prevalent here recently than before. But if it doesn't grow, it's not going to keep up. So what'll buy 100 to buy today, that won't buy the same thing tomorrow. So it can't just stay flat. It's got to keep up.
To me, this is going back to the same like employment and salary kind of.
You're on this now.
This is the thing that keeps you. Because think about how many folks go, they fight for that initial pay increase or whatever. They'll get their initial salary, and then 2 years in, they're like, I'm only getting the standard like 2% bump.
Yeah,
this isn't keeping up. I'm supposed to be getting a better.
Be good enough, and then then you want more.
I'm supposed to be keeping up with this, and it's not. So then you start shopping. You start looking for new jobs that'll pay you a bigger jump. Yep.
You know what's interesting about that? The longer I've been a business owner, the more I stop looking at today, which is interesting. When I was an employee, it was always like, right now, this year, am I tracking a bonus? Not even necessarily thinking about next year. The more I've been an owner, I almost completely remove myself from the present, and I'm looking 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years down the road. Where are we headed?
Yep.
And I think for investors, there's always that immediate, I got to make sure everything's being taken care of now. But there's equally as importance of what's going to happen next year, the year after, the year after that. And I feel like that gets put to the back burner. It's like, okay, what's now? In 5 years, it's going to be now.
Right.
But we're just going to deal with that then.
Yep.
And it's always like, hey, we window shop, and we're like, we can afford that, right? And then we'll just put it on credit. And, and then you're backing yourself up into a corner, and you're like, why did we do this? And sometimes my wife and I, when we were first married, we instituted what we call the 24-hour rule. When we find something that we wanted, we always had to give it 24 hours. And I bet you that 24-hour rule talked us out of making so many bad decisions because there was no impulse buy. No matter how, but it had to be like above a certain value.
Right, yeah.
And that value's creeped up over the years. But originally it was like, we got no money. Like $100, we need 24 hours.
Right.
Now.
People, one of the biggest fears is I'm going to run out of money. It's because people are only thinking about right now. If I make more money, well, I can spend more money. But they're not thinking about what they're going to need in the future. I mean, and it sounds like, well, duh, Nick, that's retirement planning. But so many people know it, but yet it's so hard to do. And it's the same with yield. I mean, even though you need to do that, it's harder.
So let's talk about an actual case study. So you've got, a retiree that's got some high yield stocks. Let's go back in time, maybe 2005 or something, 2010. And we've got a high yield stock, let's just say at that 7% or even higher, maybe 10%. And then a couple years later, there's a dividend cut. I mean, this is reality where we have a high yield dividend paying stock. And then the reality is that can be cut. On the other side, you've got, and these are really the pitfalls, a retiree that's in a dividend paying stock, and we're expecting it's a lower yield, it's a very safe one, and we're expecting 8% increases, and it only goes up 4 or goes up 2. So these are kind of the downsides of each one of those. If we look at the math and we just look at the realities of high yield or yield versus growth, we have stock A. This is the high yield. It pays 7%. This is what we set the show up on. Say 7%, but it's not growing. So it's 7% today. It's 7% in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. It's $7,000 per $100,000 invested. You put 100 grand in, you got $7,000 of investment or of dividend income for as long as the example wants to continue. All right. Then on the other side, we have stock B. Okay. This one's at 4% yield. So on $100,000, it's paying $4,000, but it's going to grow at 8%, which means in 10 years, that 4,000 is now 8,600.
Right.
I mean, that more than doubled. In 20 years, it's 18,500.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, it starts to add
Which
up
is
quick.
crazy. And if you think about $100,000, I invested $100,000, it's paying me $4,000 in the first year. By year 10, it's paid 8,600, and that's just 1 year. So it went from 4 to 44 to 49.40 or whatever, 48.40, and then keeps growing up. And then by the 10th year, it's now at a 8,600. By the 20th, it's 18,500. You've probably received way more than all of your $100,000 back. Actually, I know you have. You're probably at $180,000 back in 20 years.
Yeah.
You're now with, what do they call it? House money?
Yes.
All my money's back. Now it's money I spent it all, and I've increased it. So this is where we'll call it the blend. We're going to skip forward and just talk about the blend here. And this is for all those investors out there, like you need a mix of both. And I've kind of alluded to this earlier.
Yep.
Where yes, we understand we are all in the same group of microwave investors. How fast can we get something right now? But there's that crock pot. My wife loves the crock pot, You get up in the morning, throw the ingredients in, and go about your day. And by the time everybody's home for dinner at night, 5, 6 o'clock, we've got a meal. There might be a little bit of extra prep there at the end, but it's cooked all day. And normally it's like super tasty. And my kids, actually, my son sent my wife a TikTok the other day. And it was really funny because there's one meal he loves in the crock pot. Everything else she cooks in there, he hates. And it's so funny because he's like, it was coming home, that student coming home to smell the crock pot when he walks in the door. And then he just turns right back out to go to Chick-fil-A, And that's so my family at times. But from an investor standpoint, you can use the microwave, but you also have to have that crock pot too. Because the reality of today is never going to go away. Your bills are there. I don't know of an investor that's ever walked into our front door that's like, yeah, I'm never going to need income for the rest of my life. That has never happened. Somebody comes in, they're like, hey, I've got this coming in, that coming in, but I'm still concerned about tomorrow.
Yep.
No matter what their current cash flow situations are and how much money they have, there's always a concern of what if this or that. I've had people come in here say, don't even put Social Security in my plan. I'm like, why not? And they're like, because it's going to go away. I'm like, when?
Yeah.
Like I see the stats on there, but I'm also like, what other governmental program has money in the coffers? Like they're all gone. They're all bankrupt.
Right.
They can't afford anything, and they're all paying. So the realities of this really come down to what this rule of thumb, and I love this. You have to have enough yield to live on today, and you have to have enough growth to prepare to live tomorrow, which I think is great. That's the blend. The blend for your investments is good yields for now, high yields that have risk, and enough growth, low risk, high growers to produce the income for tomorrow.
Well, and it's we always talk when we're talking the portfolio, like it's a team, right? You need the bunter that's going to get on first so the home run hitter can hit them home. Like you need different players on your team to balance out the strength of the team, you need different players in your portfolio to make sure you're balancing out and you have the strongest team overall. So you can have some high yields that get you
can have
there
them young
now.
bucks in there too.
You can have that appetizer out of the microwave if you want, but
appetizer.
yeah.
That high yield
Yeah.
appetizer.
The high yield appetizer.
I don't know. We see
Get the hot and the cold.
I was trying to pull it back to your analogy. Of course, I always prefer sports because I can't cook. I certainly try. I have a great husband.
All right, let's bring this home.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts you guys want to share?
No, I would just say, like, that's the crux. You know, a lot of people come in and they're like, oh, you guys are all about dividends, right? And it's like, yes, but we're really about those dividend growers.
Yes.
Right.
More than we are just dividend payers. Because there's a lot of companies that pay a dividend, but not all of them are actually growing their dividend. So I think you got to be careful of exactly what you're buying.
It's hard to overlap the one you said about yield to live today and then enough growth to live tomorrow. And I think with a balanced approach, it allows you to do both of those things. So you got to do both.
Yep. Yeah, and just lastly, I would just say there's such a danger with that high yield. That just really what sparked me. I think of poorly managed funds, mutual funds, whatever they may be, that throw out the 10, 12, 15% return, and then all of a sudden they implode over a 3-4 year period. So having that planning process is so key to make this work.
Totally agree. Now, if you find or have found this information very helpful, we'd love for you to share it. Hit the subscribe, follow us. And for those of you who do follow us, we've actually put together what we're calling the Dividend Starter Kit. And all you need to do to get that is go down to the chat and just put in Dividend Starter Kit. You got to be a subscriber or follower to get it. Just type it in there. We'll DM you, and then we'll be happy to send that out to you right away. So thanks for listening. God bless.